steward of and from the earth. The Lord God took the human creature and put him in the Garden of Eden to protect and serve it. That's Genesis 2:15, as translated by a colleague of mine, the Reverend Carol Johnston, who teaches at Christian Theological Seminary in Indianapolis. You see, in the Genesis story in chapters 2 and 3, the author is seeking to understand what it means to be human and the consequences as to the choice of living in the world on God's terms or on our own terms. And in the process of reminding us that choosing to live on our own terms leads to fractured relationships across the whole spectrum of the cosmos, we also hear an affirmation about being a steward of the earth and a simultaneous beneficiary of God's provision. I mean, we rightly think of the Garden of Eden as paradise, but it's not because of the absence of work, but rather because of the presence of God. Remember that God would come and walk in the garden in the cool of the evening. Human beings have a vocation to live in such a way as for the garden, and now really all of the earth, to succeed. The humans care for the garden so that it thrives, and in return, the garden sustains us. To care for the earth is not simply to be obedient to God as a steward, but by doing so we also preserve our own best interest. The author of Genesis knows, and we forget at our own peril, that we are linked to the land. This means faithful stewardship involves choices. Choices that perhaps have a lower impact on this fragile sphere we call home. It suggests maybe we should consider this in our consumption of all of the earth's resources. Our focus for reflection today is, what can I choose to do with less of for the sake of the earth? Will you pray with me? God of creation, help me to care for all that you have made, and to remember that by doing so I am caring for myself and for my neighbor.